What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new update in the Alexander Isak to Liverpool transfer story, because David Ornstein has reported the one condition that needs to be met for Liverpool to make a move for Alexander Isak. But another journalist, and we will talk about that a little bit later, is revealing that Liverpool are a lot more likely to sign Alexander Isak in the summer transfer window than Arsenal, and he will explain why that is. So if you are excited about this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss the latest updates. And we will also look at Newcastle's financial situation, and if they don't make Champions League football, they are likely have to sell one of their star players in order to sign a new player. They haven't signed a starting 11 player that improves their starting 11 for like 3 transfer windows, and that is huge because Newcastle will want to improve their team. That they are running a very fine line when it comes to profit and sustainability rule compliance. So in order for Newcastle to improve their team, they might have to sell one of their star players, and that could be Alexander Isak, who could be available for £120 million. Let me know, for that price, would you want Liverpool to sign him? And Harvey Elliott is expected to leave Liverpool at the end of the season, and he might go to Saudi Arabia, and Liverpool could get 60-70 million pounds for Nunez. So would you sign Isak if it meant like paying 50 million plus Nunez? Because that's basically what it comes down to. And Isak would be an absolutely massive upgrade on Darwin Nunez, even though Nunez did extremely well coming on as a substitute, providing an assist for the winning goal against Paris Saint-Germain to Harvey Elliott. But David Ornstein revealed this about Alexander Isak. He was asked in a recent Q&A, which attackers have you heard Liverpool are interested in this summer? And Liverpool obviously have multiple options on their radar, but the only name I've personally heard so far, and of course others have reported this, is Alexander Isak. Liverpool aren't alone in liking the striker. We know Mikel Arteta wants to sign him. Chelsea and Barcelona have also been linked, and I'm sure many other sides would be keen too if the opportunity arises. If that's a big if. Newcastle right now have no intention of selling their best player, and they don't welcome this kind of conversation. Isak has more than 3 years left on his contract, and he's very well paid, so there is now no financial requirement for Newcastle to cash in. But if Newcastle don't make the Champions League, would Alexander Isak want to stay at Newcastle? And also, with less revenue coming in, Newcastle won't be able to upgrade the team much. Of course, every player has their price, and I'm not aware of Newcastle specifically setting a price for Isak. The number that seems to circulate around the football industry is something like £150 million. Of course, if teams are prepared to make such huge offers, there is a conversation to be had. But Newcastle hold the aces here, and their plan will be to build with Isak rather than without him. Liverpool are going to consider making a move if Isak is genuinely available. They are not the type of club to engage in a wild transfer chase for a player who is not available. But I do think his future will be one of the big talking points heading into and during the summer transfer window. And of course, right now Liverpool are favorites to sign Isak ahead of Arsenal, and Arsenal are interested in Šeško and Ekitike, 2 players playing in the Bundesliga for Leipzig and Frankfurt respectively. And David Ornstein said Arsenal have done a significant amount of work on many options, and the most work that they have done is on Benjamin Šeško. And Steve K, a journalist, is reporting that Isak is more likely to join Liverpool than Arsenal. According to the journalist, there is a 40% chance that Isak ends up at Arsenal and a 60% chance that he ends up at Liverpool. Arsenal could sign Oli Watkins and Benjamin Šeško. They might want to add 2 strikers instead of 1. And this journalist is more realistic about Isak's transfer fee. He said he will cost around 120 million. I've seen these reports that Newcastle won't sell, and I've never heard so much rubbish in all my life. If the player wants to go, then he will go. That's ridiculous that Newcastle won't sell. I don't believe it for 1 minute. The thing is, because Arsenal need numbers, if you buy Isak, you just have Isak and Havertz again. So you still have two strikers. I think he's more suited and more likely to go to Liverpool more than Arsenal, if I'm being truthful. The noises around Šeško and Watkins and the way we have explained it, that's the perfect solution for Arsenal, because then they will have Šeško, Watkins and Kai Havertz. What a strike force that would be for Arsenal. I think that could actually win them the Premier League title, because that's the main thing that they are missing, proper firepower up front. These links emerged just before Liverpool faced Newcastle, but we already won that game 2-0, and even though Alexander Isak has already scored 3 goals and got 1 assist against Liverpool against them in 5 games, he still has no wins against Liverpool, 1 draw and 4 losses. And now, of course, he hasn't played in the latest games, but that's 1 draw and 5 losses Isak has against Liverpool. But if you only count the games that he played in, this is the record. And Isak is a top player. He would be an absolutely incredible signing for Liverpool. I think that could transform Liverpool's front line to an even higher level, especially if Salah stays, and hopefully he will stay and sign a new contract. Imagine a front line of Salah, Isak and Gakpo. Wow, that is an absolutely amazing front line, with every player in that front line capable of scoring 20 goals in all competitions and getting around 10-15 assists. If Liverpool can keep the rest of the team together, that's another Premier League winning front line. So let's look at the financial reports of Newcastle. Let's weigh up how much they can spend and whether they need to sell a player like Isak in the summer or not. So Newcastle will have a small hole to plug for PSR this June. That is £20 million maximum, but it could be even less depending on what kind of new commercial deals Newcastle sign up until that point. So no major need to sell a star, but Newcastle will have to sell big to buy big. If Newcastle don't get Champions League football, they will need to sell a big player or multiple players to buy a starting 11 player or two due to this PSR challenge. And even if they do get additional Champions League revenue, they will need to sell big to buy big due to UEFA's tighter financial controls. And Newcastle is very likely to finish in a European place, because top 5 will almost certain qualify for the Champions League, which means 6th and even 7th place will most likely qualify for Europe. I mean, Liverpool or Newcastle win the League Cup, Liverpool will qualify for Europe, and if Newcastle win the League Cup, they will qualify for Europe as well. And I don't think Newcastle will finish as low as 7th in the Premier League or lower, even though it's very tight between those teams behind Arsenal. The worst case scenario for Newcastle is getting into the Conference League, because then the extra revenue is minimal, but you have to comply with UEFA's financial regulations, which are even stricter than the Premier League's financial regulations. And interestingly, if Newcastle get European football, then they will likely need to sell before the June 30th deadline, because that's when the financial year ends for Newcastle. This is due to how average player profits are calculated for the UEFA financial regulations. However, if Newcastle are not subject to UEFA regulations, because if they miss European football places altogether, and if they don't win the League Cup, then Newcastle don't have to rush to any decisions, and they can do business in July and August instead. And UEFA's stricter financial regulations is not wage to revenue, it's footballing wages plus fee amortization on player transfers and agent fees versus revenue plus average player profits. So Newcastle will have to run a tight ship financially. And last year they were in a lot of bother when it comes to the PSR financial compliance, and they had to sell Jakuba Minte and Elliot Anderson for a combined £65 million. Otherwise, their breach would have been well above 50 million. And they also sold Alan Saint-Maximin for 20 million to Al Ahly. So the gross player sales combined to £91 million. not only a club record, but also more than the past 6 years of player sale profits combined. So Newcastle usually don't sell players for a lot of money. They usually, let players leave on a free transfer or sell fringe players for a little bit of money. And Newcastle are not great at selling players. Newcastle have generated just the 12th highest income from player sale profit in the Premier League, 106 million. So they need to improve on that if they want to improve their first team. Basically, Newcastle haven't been savvy enough, haven't been clever enough when it comes to trading players, so buying and selling players. So, selling Alexander Isak for 120, 130 million would go a long way in funding Newcastle's huge spending spree in the summer, because if they want to seriously strengthen their team, they need to sell one of their star players. Newcastle's gross transfer spend, so not the net spend, but the total spend on transfers, was 206 million pounds. Last season, the first time that they exceeded 200 million in a single campaign. Their net transfer spend across 2023-24 was 155 million pounds, but still a third consecutive season of 100 million pound plus investment. Over the past 5 years, Newcastle's net spend is almost 500 million, 492 million pounds, which is the 5th highest in England based on most recent financial results. And since Newcastle's new owners have come in, Newcastle's squad cost has more than doubled from 233 million to 605 million. And this is the 6th highest costing squad in the Premier League. And this is also why Newcastle have been cautious. Their net spend has been just 20 million across 2024-25, and they have opted against strengthening the first 11 for 3 consecutive windows, so not 3 years but 3 transfer windows, and selling Lloyd Kelly and Miguel Almiron in January bolstered Newcastle's position heading into a vital summer. And if Newcastle sell further players, they could strengthen the team by more than 100 million pounds worth of transfers. The exact budget available will depend on European qualification, which competition they qualify for, if any. But Newcastle are in a far healthier position to offer Eddie Howe backing in the transfer market than last summer. So that's the situation around Newcastle's finances. The bottom line is, let's watch how the season ends. Let's see which competition Newcastle qualify for. But they will be in a tougher position if they qualify for the Conference League or the Europa League. If they make Champions League, then it will be, of course, a lot easier to convince Isak to stay as well, because he will want to play Champions League football. If they only qualify for the Europa League or the Conference League, I'm not sure if Alexander Isak would want to stick around, especially if clubs like Arsenal and Liverpool want to sign him. If you were Alexander Isak, what would you do? Let me know in the comments below. And I also want to reveal that Jurgen Klopp said that he will join Liverpool title celebrations, that he will be there, but not, of course, on the open-top bus parade if Liverpool win the Premier League title. And Jurgen Klopp said, yes, the plan is to travel to Liverpool and to celebrate the league title in Liverpool, but not on the bus, of course. I will be there where the people are. The people I saw when we were on the bus, that's my idea, to be honest. But we will see. So I think that I will be there for the last game and stuff like that. And Jurgen Klopp didn't want to jinx a comeback to Anfield. That's why he hasn't been back to watch a Liverpool game. He said, I didn't want to go earlier to watch a Liverpool game, to be honest, because I didn't want to jinx it. Liverpool are winning all the time, and then if I'm there for the first time in the stadium and they lose, then I would be, oh, for effing sake. So I go there when it's decided, when the title is already done and dusted. Very clever by Jurgen Klopp. I like that. And of course, he doesn't want to take attention away from the work that Arne Slot has done with the players, which has been absolutely fantastic. And finally, I wanted to talk about Harvey Elliott, because even though he scored a winner against Paris Saint-Germain, overall I think he's very frustrated by his season, because he broke his bone at the start of the season during the first international break. So Arne Slot couldn't take a proper look at him for months. And he started 27 games last season in all competitions in Jurgen Klopp's last season. This season, only 4, and they were not in the Premier League. Domestic Cups and the Champions League dead rubber against PSV. But Liverpool, of course, went on a run of 5 Premier League games in 15 games. Elliott only was involved in against Man City for 1 brief substitute appearance. But of course, he has Mo Salah ahead of him, the best player in the world at right wing. He has Dominik Szoboszlai, the absolute midfield dynamo, midfield maestro, one of the most important midfielders for Liverpool this season and last season as well, ahead of him in the attacking midfield role. And in the defensive midfield position, Curtis Jones is preferred because of control, because of offering more physicality. Curtis Jones is such a press-resistant monster of a midfielder. So it's very, very tough for Elliott to get into the team ahead of any of these players. But Elliott has to be patient. He's still only, 21 years old, I think. And he already played 137 games for Liverpool. And Elliott said, I need to use that anger and frustration and turn that into motivation. I always want to play Champions League football. Not about everyone being able to see I'm frustrated. It's about being there for the team. You just need little moments where confidence becomes bigger and better, and hopefully more opportunities will come. And this is the best mentality to have. Even though Elliott only played 5 minutes against PSG, I had the mentality of wanting to help the team as much as possible. The manager has his decisions and his tactics, and you have to respect that as a player. And so far, Arne Slot has been proven right with how Liverpool's season have panned out. And Arne Slot said, that's a big moment for Harvey Elliott. I can understand that he's sometimes frustrated by the playing time he gets, because he's a good player, but he's in competition with players that I hardly take off. Dominik Szoboszlai is always the one that just keeps on going. He always also scores goals and is so important for us with all the running he does. And Mo Salah is quite key as well. So Harvey Elliott has to play this season with limited playing time, but he just keeps on going. I have to give him big compliments for that, and also my staff, because they keep working with Elliott and every time come up with great exercises so he stays fit. So good on Harvey Elliott for staying humble, keeping himself motivated, fit and ready to help the team. And Harvey Elliott still has a big part to play in Liverpool's season, because in the Premier League he will have minutes, and especially against the low block, I think Harvey Elliott is great to bring on as a substitute and help unlock a low block with his clever passes and creativity. So I absolutely love Harvey Elliott. I want him to stay for all his career at Liverpool, hopefully, because he definitely has the talent to do that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.